this is Women Paid Less in Sports, Fair or Unfair by Common Grounds Conversation. This will be an interesting one because I am actually a former D1 athlete myself. I played soccer my entire life. I think this is also an ongoing debate when it comes to the NBA. So a couple of WNBA players have said that they need to be paid as much as men. So let's see what Common Grounds was able to gather when it comes to this topic.
Unfair.
And tell me why.
It represents the patriarchal society that has been long entrenched in our colonised country. That's English colonised. Unfortunately, it's been happening for far too long. So the momentum is going to have to keep up, and we're going to have to keep fighting for it.
Look at dude's face this whole time.
It's just going to continue to happen. And it truly represents, obviously, that women don't get paid as much as most men in most fields. So it's actually just a representation of general society and the patriarchal nature of it.
Do you think that's why do you think then women are paid less? Let's keep it to sports for the moment.
Okay. Yep,
why do you think they're paid less, say, for example, in the AFL?
Because they don't have as much pull, they just don't have the same profile. So you look at players like Buddy Franklin, for example. The reason why the AFL can make money off him is marketable.
Yeah.
So it's about having a marketable product, and truly it's just about business now. So sport has sort of, really gone to more business ever since it's been made professional back in the 80s. So yeah, it's pretty much deeply entrenched in that patriarchal nature of how things are run.
Why is that patriarchal?
Yeah, so it's interesting in a lot of these types of discussions, and I've had them myself too. Kind of common, maybe you want to call it a buzzword that comes up is that it's a patriarchal society. But then she kind of goes in to explain how, at the end of the day, it's about numbers and capitalism and business, in the sense that just like how she admitted, right, this male athlete is a lot more marketable, a lot more people watch the games versus, let's say, like a woman athlete and in that league. So in that sense, it kind of does answer why maybe women are paid less in sport, and that there's higher viewership in the men's league. But then she also kind of chalks it up to the patriarchy that is essentially causing people to watch those male leagues more. So let's listen further.
Let's say, for example, let's take Buddy Franklin as an example, but there are other high-profile players.
Yeah.
If they're more marketable, my sense is that if they bring more value to the team and to the game in by way of bringing more people to the sport or to the games, and then also attracting advertisers who are willing to pay more for that attention from the customers, from the end customers, isn't it fair that they be rewarded for being marketable?
Oh, 100%, be rewarded, but I think they can start with the base level, and then you could get other entitlements above that. And I just think the base level that women begin in sport, and not just AFL, is probably, it can be brought up a little bit, and then other incentive programs around, being more marketable, and it's almost like a sales thing, isn't it? If they make more sales, they should get more incentives.
Exactly.
You can kind of see her face as he, digs a little bit deeper in the questions. I actually know these guys, Common Ground Conversation. We've actually had a couple conversations, but in similar interviews that I do, when you start kind of challenging, or not challenging, but just inquiring further about their initial response to an opening question to a controversial topic like this, you can kind of see how, they start really actually thinking about it instead of just repeating buzzwords like patriarchal society or anything that they read on Twitter or on the news, right? Once you kind of start asking and just being genuine and being nice about it and asking questions, it's very always interesting to see how people react as they start really deeply thinking about these issues.
Yeah, isn't it fair that they get paid different?
Fair is probably not the word. I think.
Why? What would you say?
Well, in some ways, if they're not bringing in the sales, then fine. The end pay would be less, the women, as opposed to Buddy. But I just think that.
And that's why I would say it's fair. But you would say it's still unfair.
Well,
I guess that's the part of your position I don't quite understand.
Yeah, it's okay. So the word fair, equitable. I don't know. I just think that part of it's fair. That if you can increase sales, and you're marketable, yes, you get more. But I'm just saying, so that's fair, yes. But I believe that they need to have started, common ground. Absolutely common ground.
Yep.
See, it's that instance too, right? So obviously they were able to find common ground, and that obviously what you bring in terms of value to society is how you're going to be compensated, right? Whether you're a man, woman, a they, or a them. But in this instance, I think she still thinks that, fairness means that they need to bump up their pay more just because they're women. In that case, that's not fair, right? That's specialized treatment based on the group, in this case, gender.
Are stronger and faster and better AFL players.
But that's stereotype, though. How do you know women can't be stronger? What
On
makes
average.
you think? No, again.
Yeah, and also doing these types of interviews too, you sometimes just get instances where people are very hostile right from the jump. And maybe she's not even meaning to be hostile, but sometimes you can just tell that when you want to have a discussion, they are just here to state their opinion instead of changing or adapting to new information.
Average, but what makes you think that women can't be stronger?
Well, okay, if we take, there are a couple of instances that I can give you, but would you not say that on average men are stronger and faster than women?
No, definitely not.
Interesting. So I'll give you an example.
Sure.
Tell me where we disagree. Say for example, the Williams sisters.
Sure.
Serena and what's the other one?
Venus.
For
someone who's
played the 203rd ranked tennis player
Yeah.
back to back. He beat both of them. I think it was 6-1, 6-2, something like that.
Yeah.
There are other instances in other sports as well, like soccer, where the top female team will play like under 15s and get demolished. Why does that happen if there's no performance differential between males
Well,
and
there
females?
shouldn't be though. But hold on a second. We're talking about the actual prize money though, aren't we? I mean,
I'm
they're
talking
still
about
doing the same
pay
thing.
in general.
Yeah, so pay in general. So they're still there during that whole period. So if you want to take tennis as an example, they're playing for the 2 weeks. They're out in the hot sun. Why shouldn't they be rewarded?
Okay, no, I see your point. But do you think then that
Same in cricket, same in AFL.
So I think essentially she makes the argument that just like both men and women, they're still working hard, and that's 100% true. But like that's like me making the argument that, hey, I'm working just as hard as Mr. Beast, so I should be getting the same amount of AdSense money and sponsorships as him. But that's not true, right? Because at the end of the day, Mr. Beast is getting 200 million views and I'm sometimes getting 10K. So obviously there's going to be differences in pay. If effort was always equated to compensation, then I think some of the most hardworking people, like the immigrants in our country that are cleaning our bathrooms, should be the richest people on earth, right? But ultimately, it's always going to be based on, in the context of sports, as a business, is how many people are watching your league, which will then attract sponsorship money, which will then attract more endorsement deals for the athletes. So you can't really equate effort and the amount of effort that both sides are providing. It's always going to be about results.
what about
Same
in other
conditions.
jobs? In other jobs, if you and I
thing.
work the same job for the same number of hours,
With the same skill set.
but you do a better job, do you deserve to be paid more?
100% we do.
No.
Actually, no. It should be kept equal.
See, she slipped a little. That was a great question by him, right? Because it's putting it in a different context. She obviously believes that him and her, they work in the same job, but if she's bringing in more value and is able to do things more efficiently, goddamn right, she should be paid more.
I suck and you're good.
Yeah, but if you suck, you wouldn't be there for very long, would you?
Well, hold on a second, because if you apply that same,
gotta go, my family's
I guess
I gotta go.
one last thing I want to leave you with
Sure.
is that if there were, hypothetical, because I
Sure.
think we're going to disagree on the premise, but if there were a differential in performance between males and females, say for example in AFL, and also that
But
some
if
of the
you're doing-
hold on, let me finish my
Yeah.
point. I just want to see if we can find common ground on this.
Sure.
And if some of the male players are bringing in more attention to the sport, so more
Right.
more marketing dollars, you just look at ticket sales and demand for ticket sales.
Sure.
Is it
Let's say that, like, you know, the interviewer here, if he wasn't, you know, taking care of himself, he wasn't working out, and he was, let's say, a black female, right? Already, just the fact that he's wearing a tank, you know, he works out, looks intimidating to most people. A lot of people are going to automatically be hostile too, and the fact that he is like a straight white male. But it's interesting, like, let's say if he was like a black female and asking these same questions, she definitely wouldn't have answered immediately off the jump with like kind of a bit of like hostility or I'm not going to change my mind, right? So whenever I do these interviews, you know, it does help that I'm not like too intimidating looking. What I actually try and do is to like dress as like neutrally as possible, because ultimately what I want them to do is to like, you know, provide their own thoughts and not, you know, infuse any of my bias. So what I've noticed is that, you know, as humans, we definitely judge a book by its cover. So sometimes it's very uncontrollable, such as like, you know, your race in this particular case. But I think what you wear can even slightly influence how people are going to perceive and then ultimately react to you.
not fair that income or the revenue then be distributed to the players accordingly?
But marketing dollars has got nothing to do with players. It's to do with like the bigger picture, which is your sponsorship and how much marketing can be put on to the game. I mean, why can't women can do the same thing? But remember, whether you're a male sports person or a female sportsman, you guys are just playing on the field. You've got nothing to do with marketing dollars. You've got nothing to do with the venue.
I disagree.
All
I
of
disagree.
this setup.
Because I think on average men are better at football.
Oh, I disagree on that.
Okay, fair enough. We didn't find common ground, but thank you for sharing your position. Take care.
This topic is also interesting too whenever it involves something like sports. To see like a high schooler play basketball versus an NBA player. If you don't know anything about sports, you can just say like, oh, you know, they're both doing the same things. They're both shooting threes and doing layup. If you actually watch sports and actually maybe even pay attention to this a little bit more, you'll find that there's huge discrepancies between an average high school player and then like the average NBA player. An average NBA player can windmill dunk while an average 6-foot point guard from Iowa playing high school probably can't do that. So it's always interesting having these types of conversations when that person has never done that. So that's all I'm going to react to for today for this video. But Common Grounds, yeah, check them out. They're actually homies of mine. So it's Women Pay Less in Sports, fair or unfair. Let me know what you think in the comments.